First, I wanted to offer this is a QR code to my Instagram. Instagram is the primary social media channel that I'm on, so it's where I share most of my content. I have been on a content creation journey for the past more than a decade, and Instagram is my main focus. And I'm also actually launching a YouTube this week with the energy of the fire horse behind me, that momentum. But you can scan this and it'll take you to my Instagram. And again, this is where I share most of my content. And this is actually where I was able to create the most leverage in terms of growing social media over the past decade. So this is kind of like my favorite platform. Okay. So this is like a kind of a recap of my successes in my life. Like I mentioned previously, I was signed to the WWE in 2010, and I was very young, 23, literally zero experience. I actually debuted on live TV, wrestled on live TV for the very first time with zero experience. WWE has an umbrella of shows. And so there's Raw, SmackDown, those are the most notable ones. And there's a few other shows under that WWE umbrella. But at the time when I was signed and got my contract, my developmental contract, which is kind of like the minor leagues, there was an all-female reality elimination show, and someone got let go. One of the women that was supposed to debut on the show got let go last minute, 5 days before the show was supposed to go live. And I was just next in line. So I got a call from the corporate office, and they said, "Hey, kid, you're up." I didn't have, I had just gotten my contract, so I had no in-ring experience, no opportunity to create my character or my arsenal of moves. I didn't have any experience speaking on a microphone. So I literally was just thrown on live TV for the very first time and wrestled. And it was a wild ride. And I actually ended up winning that reality elimination show. And that's how I got my spot on the main roster. And then I worked very hard behind the scenes for a few years and ended up with a shot at the title. And I won the title in 2013, actually in my hometown of Houston, Texas. And I was like a career good guy. So in wrestling, there's good guys. It's always good versus evil. So in the professional wrestling world, they call the good guys baby faces and the bad guys heels. And I was like a career baby face. So I was always a good guy. And typically, the good guy never wins the title in their hometown, because the psychology of that is you always want the bad guys to have heat, or you want the audience to hate the bad guys, not want to see them win. And so it was very unique for me to win as a good guy in my hometown. And then shortly after I left my WWE career, again, it was a 4-year span, I founded a fitness and retail brand called Celeste Bonin, where I actually patented a legging design called the Booty Scrunch legging. And you can, pretty much any gym you go to now, you'll see this legging design. It's that little ruching in the rear of women's leggings that adds a little bit of curvature. And when I was wrestling, I had that seam sewn into my wrestling gear. And when I left the WWE, I wanted to start a business around the concept. So I patented a legging design, and I was the CEO and the face of that brand. So this was my opportunity to build a personal brand outside of a character and outside of this massive corporation of WWE. So this was kind of like my first taste of entrepreneurship, learning what it was like to build a social presence, learning what it was like to build a business and a brand. And I actually grew this company, Celestial Bodies, to a 7-figure business within 3 years. And so I was really on this massive momentum energy, and I started to be recognized publicly on like magazine. This is an example of one of the magazine covers I did in 2016 after 2 years of being the founder and CEO of Celestial Bodies. And this was very pivotal for me because I started to be recognized as an entrepreneur and a businesswoman, not just a professional athlete or professional wrestler, which was very, very big for me. And then now I am a coach, a speaker, and so I share these things because I've essentially reinvented myself and created a very strong personal brand in 3 different industries. So it was professional wrestling, a fitness and retail brand, and now coaching. But it wasn't all rainbows and sunshine. So these are the very big, like, specific markers of my career. My successes, the things that I can kind of hang my hat on and give me a lot of social credibility when I'm creating content or when I'm networking or sharing about who I am and what I do. However, even though I reached these really big heights of success, there was a lot of cracks in my foundation. Again, I started my career in the fitness industry at 19, and then I started my WWE career at 23, and I was a baby. I ended up leaving my WWE career with 2 years left on my second contract. I didn't finish my contract because I essentially folded under pressure, under the pressure. I crumbled under the pressure. I was dealing with immense anxiety, imposter syndrome. My body was really, I was constantly under stress. I was just had cortisol pumping through my body 24/7. The hardest part of my wrestling career was not the in-ring television performance. It was the travel, and it was the pressure behind the scenes to always be on. And it was very, very difficult from a young age, especially not knowing anything about the wrestling industry. So that's actually why I left my WWE career. I essentially just asked for my release because I was gaining weight. My skin was really bad. I had uncontrollable anxiety, and I didn't feel aligned in that career anymore. I didn't feel like I could keep going. So I left, and then within 6 months is when I founded Celestial Bodies, this fitness and retail brand. And kind of the same thing happened. So again, like I built Celestial Bodies to a 7-figure business within 3 years. So the business growth was very, very rapid. And again, I was getting recognized by these different publications, typically fitness publications and magazines, as an entrepreneur and a businesswoman. But behind the scenes, I was experiencing the same difficulties, same pain, same anxieties that have essentially led to me leaving my WWE career. And this was happening again behind the scenes in my fitness and retail business. And actually this magazine cover right here, I had, like, it's a beautiful photo of me, and the photo shoot was an amazing experience, but I was abusing substances. I had such bad anxiety. I was really, really falling apart behind the scenes, even though you couldn't really see it here in this magazine cover. But I was essentially starting to repeat that same pattern of reaching like a crash out, a burnout. And so I really had to, and I was also, during this height of my business success with Celestial Bodies and my fitness and retail brand, I was also starting to have marital problems. And so I was going through a very difficult marriage, and eventually that led to divorce. And the divorce was very devastating, emotionally, financially. It took a huge toll on me in every way. So